last couple of months, so it's going to be pretty washed out, I think. That was good. I like these
Okay, so I've just got the bike cleaned up and brought it inside. So I just make this really quick, just have a few things I thought I'd share about my first impressions of the bike. I've got the little post-it notes around it, which is a bit of a cheat. I've stolen that from other videos, but I'll forget to say some things. There's only, I think there's 5 on there, so there's 5 things. But just before I get to that, just an overall, an overall review, an overall judgment. This bike, I found myself riding it like I used to ride my WR450. When you're up on the pegs and you're on the bike, I did end up finding myself going a bit too hard. I did push too hard into some corners and through some sections just because it is so confidence inspiring, and you sort of forget that it's a big bike. And it's not until you get into the corner and you're trying to brake, you realize, geez, like I'm in a bad spot here, because you really push. You can push really hard on it. It's really balanced, super forgiving bike. And I suppose the next thing I'll talk about, just going on from that's the engine. So this motor is an absolute monster. First and second gear, that second gear, and look, I don't know how much, I know that this pipe does add a bit extra bottom end and mid-range. I hadn't ridden it off-road without this pipe on, so I don't have something to measure it against, but second gear, you can lug it from almost stationary and it pulls strong right off the bottom. So I love the gear ratios. I think for me, I know some people like to change their sprockets and try and change that up a bit, but for me, it's perfect for the bush. Riding position. So I really like the riding position. You'd notice if anyone watching this saw my my mods and upgrades video, you'd know I had the rally seat on it. I was actually quite disappointed after one ride just on the road with the rally seat. It's too tall. I'm 6'1", it's too tall for me. I didn't think I'd have a problem with it, but really hard. I got a sore bum real quick. So I actually really prefer this seat. I find it more comfortable. So I find the bar foot peg seat position really good. I do have 20mm bar risers coming, which I'll put on, which will help. But I think the riding position is really, really good, at least for me, for my height. Just quickly on the tyres, I won't go on too much, but the MOTO's Rally Z Tractioner tyres, I reckon they're unreal. The front tyre felt like a dirt bike. It felt really planted. Could hook up in the corners really well. I didn't feel loose on the front end at any stage. And that might have something to do with the suspension. It obviously has something to do with the suspension, and I've already spoken in my last video about how much I rate MPE, and the ride today really just, yeah, exceeded my expectations. I thought I'd have to fiddle with it to get it right, but no, it's really awesome. And just the last two things. So the clearance of the bike was one thing that I suppose I forgot that, you know, this bike isn't going to have the clearance of a dirt bike, and I did get hooked up on a couple of logs, but you know, that's just the nature of an adventure bike, I suppose. And really the only negative for me was the rear brake. I find that some people probably like that it's really progressive and it's not aggressive. I kept having to look down to make sure I was actually on the pedal because I just had no feel. I didn't, it's probably of all the bikes I've owned, it's the one rear brake setup I just do not like, you know, the most. So I'll work with that. I'm sure there's ways you can harshen it up. I know with the dirt bikes you can, you know, you can work on that and you can make some changes. So I'm sure that's something I can work on, but really the only negative that I had from the ride was that just didn't give me confidence to go harder. Obviously, you know, if you've obviously watched the video of the ride, I wasn't going crazy hard at anything. It was just a cruisy ride, but that rear brake would need to get sorted out for me to actually be able to push any harder. So yeah, out of 10, I suppose, geez, for an adventure, dirt-going adventure bike, the 690, the KTM 690, the Husky 701, I suppose they're going to be more dirt-oriented, but you're really going to lose out for that touring ability. So I think for what it is, I think they've nailed it. I think the World Raid Tenere 700, when it comes out to Australia, I look forward to trying that just to bring that front weight down a little bit. But yeah, no, I'll give it probably 9 out of 10. I think that they've absolutely smashed it. And I do look forward to riding it more in the bush and just getting the hang of that front end, how hard you can push it, probably soften off the compression a little bit, give me a bit more feel on the front end. But no guys, I hope you liked the video. I'll get some more videos out sometime soon. Yeah, ride safe. Cheers.